Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for yet another AC Milan news live stream where I'll be giving you the latest news and rumors currently going on at our club. Now today I'll be speaking about Deulofeu, Luis Adriano, and finally a potential swap between Gabriel and Storari. But speaking about Deulofeu, this is the big news that came in today. As soon as I woke up, I opened up the social media and I saw that Deulofeu was a potential player that we might be interested in. And frankly speaking, I didn't know much about this player. But one thing is for sure, I did go on YouTube and start looking at some highlights because I never really heard about him before. I heard his name being mentioned, but I never really paid attention to him with a particular sense. So I went on YouTube and looked at his highlights, and I could tell that he's a very talented player. He's a talented player, and he's capable of doing very good things on the wing. His specialty is crossing. I think he's a very good crosser, and overall, he could be a decent backup for Suso. Now, so this interest was sparked up by La Repubblica this morning, and they're saying that Milan are interested in signing Gerard Deulofeu from Everton on a dry loan. Now, many reports were initially saying that it was a done deal, that Milan had signed the player from Everton. However, there are no negotiations going on at the moment, and Milan is still looking as to where or how they could sign this player. So for those people that still don't know what a dry loan is, it's pretty much a loan without an option to buy. So Milan is currently thinking of doing this type of deal with Everton this winter mercato, but Everton they are not really willing to give the Deulofeu away at the moment. Not even on loan. That is what the latest reports from Sky are mentioning. However, the player hasn't been getting much playing time. I've been looking at his statistics this season, and he's a youngster. He's 22 years old. Like I said before, plays more on the right wing, and he's been getting 11 appearances in the Premier League this season. But frankly, he hasn't been playing a lot. He has been getting minutes in almost every game, but he's coming on as a substitute. He's maybe getting 20 to 25 minutes in his legs per game. So he's not really a consistent player, a guy that's getting consistent playing time at Everton. And that is why he might look to move abroad, hopefully to join Milan. Like I said before, he's a decent backup for Suso. He won't be starting games if he does arrive. So that will be another big question mark because he is a player that is searching for playing time. Will he be getting it at Milan? Frankly, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if he will be getting. But I will be calling Matthew Santangelo now. He's going to give us a bit more of an insight on this player and what he believes he could bring to the table. So let's see if Matt Santangelo does answer. Matt, can you hear me there?
Yes, I can hear you, Gio. Thank you for having me on.
Perfect. How are you doing today?
Uh, can't complain. Ready for the new year.
Yeah. All right. So the big news came out today. Deulofeu, a potential player to join Milan on loan. That's going to be a dry loan. What did you make of the news when you first heard of it?
I was actually pretty pleased with it, just because I have a pretty good understanding of his background as a player.
Hmm.
Of course, he has ties to the Barcelona youth system, which obviously we really don't no need to touch on. He's done pretty well for Everton in spurts. Again, we really haven't seen him put it all together for that one spectacular season. He did go out on loan to Sevilla for the at the end of the 2015 season, if I'm correct, and he helped Sevilla secure the Europa League. So I mean, I like what Deulofeu brings as a whole, including his age, of course, which fits the billing as a young player Milan would like to add. He's 22 years old. Of course, he's Spanish, just like Suso. He's still an unfinished product, and that's similar to what we saw with Suso for a while. Uh, in spurts, we saw Suso, when he was with Liverpool and in Milan and Genoa. He was good at some points. Sometimes he would have an off game, but Now, of course, we're seeing him put it all together under Montella this year, and I don't. To me, I think a guy like Deulofeu, given the low budget mercato that Milan are expected to have, and of course the backing off, excuse me, of the chase for Riccardo Orsolini, I don't see what's so bad about this move for all parties, including Everton.
Now I saw
When I,
you.
when I
Yeah. Now
yeah,
I saw you
so
even
you know
mention about Honda there on Twitter. You were speaking about Honda, and now if he could leave, he could definitely be a better replacement for being a backup. And I fully agree with you there. So I think he's a good option. He's probably not going to be one of those options that we could see at Milan for the long term. Because he is coming on a dry loan, and I could kind of agree that he could bring into the depth of the team, especially on the bench. Um, that's the thing, though. Like, he's a player that's searching for playing time. Will he be getting
mhm.
that playing time at Milan? That's my big
well,
question mark.
here's my thing with Deulofeu is, in the situation as a whole, is that um, at Everton, he's really not making those next leaps in his development. I don't know how much Ronald Koeman, the manager of Everton, of course, factors him into his plans. As for Milan, they desperately need a winger. We saw that versus Genoa when Montella, rolled the dice and sat Suso and played Honda, and Honda brought nothing. So for me, I think Deulofeu again would be a good ad, even on a 6 month loan, with the possible opportunity that if he plays well, they can somehow find an agreement in the summer. He's young. Of course he has that little link to the Barcelona youth system, which gives you an indication that he does have promise if he can put it all together.
Hmm.
But again, I think what I don't want to see Milan do, and I think this is a possibility, is that they stay the course, excuse me, with Honda as the backup winger. I just don't see how they can possibly survive the second half of the season. Especially when you add the Coppa Italia fixtures in there as well, you guys are gonna be playing a little bit more games, and you can't keep running some of these guys out there without having a serviceable backup in the event you need to spell someone a breather for an injury or whatever it may be, coming into a big match. So I just do think that Deulofeu gives them one of the lone options on the market as a low risk, high reward guy if Milan can get it right and can get him, of course, on a dry loan.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens in these next few days. Like I said, Everton are not really buying into the idea to even give him out on loan, despite the fact that he's not been playing much. So it's gonna be interesting, but I think Milan is definitely moving for a winger to potentially substitute or be a backup to Suso. First of all, we went after Orsolini, like you said there before, Matt. Now Deulofeu, who's gonna be the next one? We simply don't know. But thank you so much there, Matt, for joining me. And we'll obviously talk very soon, considering the next Milan news. Same to you. All right, same to you. Take care. All right, guys. So you heard it there from Matt Santangelo. If you guys are not following him on Twitter, make sure to do that. Matt_Santangelo. So it's very interesting, guys, about this player. I think he's going to be a good addition if we do bring him on, but nothing is done yet, like many people are mentioning. Is it a done deal? No, it is not. And the negotiations for the player haven't even started yet. It's just a plain, simple interest from Milan as they're looking to add a winger to the team. But send in your comments, guys. I'll be reading them later on in the live stream. Give me your opinion on what you think Deulofeu could bring to the table at Milan, and will he be a possible good backup to have in this second half of the season. The next player I wanted to speak about is Luis Adriano. Many talks considering him regarding a potential transfer to Spartak Moscow. If you guys haven't heard of it by now, he is very close to joining Spartak Moscow. As a matter of fact, the contracts have been signed today, and that means that he's even closer to joining them. All that is left is the medicals. So I think in a matter of a few days, it should be all settled. It should be all done. A move for Luis Adriano to Spartak Moscow will be official. And once again, just to mention it, we will not be getting any transfer money from that sale. It's very likely that we will be going out on a free transfer, like various reports have recently mentioned. And finally, I wanted to speak about Gabriel and Storari. Now, this is something I mentioned a few days ago between Gabriel and Storari, and there seems to be some sort of interest from both of these teams to swap goalkeepers. Gabriel going one way and Storari coming the other way. Now, I simply don't see a motive as to why this is even possible and why Milan would benefit from it. First of all, Gabriel, definitely younger. I hope that if he does go to Cagliari, it will not be a permanent transfer, but it will be maybe a loan if this deal actually happens in the end. On the other hand, Storari, the guy is 39 years old. You can start to see some white hair, and simply I don't see what he could bring to the table at Milan besides experience and guidance, maybe for Plizzari or Donnarumma. But definitely he's not going to be the starter goalkeeper at Milan. If he does come, he will be a backup. I mean, Gabriel's not getting much playing time. He's not going to get any playing time this season besides maybe the Coppa Italia fixtures. That is the only time that I could probably see Gabriel being featured this season. Storari, yes, he does have experience. He could be a good asset for those Coppa Italia games, but pretty much that's all he's going to be playing in. It's going to be these Coppa Italia fixtures. Might bring the experience to the table. Might bring some guidance to the younger players at the team. I do recall that Storari was at Milan already back a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. But personally, I don't see the point of this transfer, especially from Milan's perspective. I could kind of debate as to where Cagliari could make a benefit out of it. They could bring in a younger goalkeeper, promising like Gabriel. But I simply don't see this move going forward. We'll see what Milan and Cagliari decide. But honestly, I'm not too bothered about the whole thing. So that is what I wanted to speak about today. I wanted to speak about Deulofeu, Luis Adriano, and Gabriel. It is now your turn in the comments section. Let me know what you think about today's news. I'll be reading your comments for the next 10 minutes or so. So let me know what you guys think all about that. Of course, if you guys haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do so to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis. We are live every day to bring you exclusive content. So if you haven't yet joined us, joined our community, please hit on that subscribe button. It will help us a lot. Also, if you haven't yet, please click on that like button. Also helps us as well. Now, getting into your comments, Andrea Rossi says, in Italy right now are just saying that Luis Adriano is official to Spartak Moscow and Gerard Deulofeu is signing for Milan. Now, that's what it seems. That's what many reports were mentioning for Deulofeu. As a matter of fact, specifically for La Repubblica, they were the first ones stating that Deulofeu was a done deal. But the negotiations didn't even happen just yet. They didn't even start, as a matter of fact, for those people that are still asking if Deulofeu is an official Milan player. So we'll see what the developments between these two clubs occur. What will they mention to each other? Will there be negotiations going forward for Deulofeu? Simply is just an interest from Milan at the moment. That's what many people still don't understand. And if he does arrive, it will be a dry loan, meaning that he will be coming on loan without an option to buy. Mad Designer says a dry loan could be a good deal. His contract will finish in 2018, so if he performs well, Everton will be forced to sell him with a low price. Like you said there, his contract does expire in 2018, so as time goes by, I guess he will be decreasing in value if he doesn't get playing time. This could be a good option for Everton to offload him to somewhere, and he could get playing time. And like you mentioned there, this could be bait for a team to go in and buy him after a year or so. But it's a dry loan, so this means that they have no option to buy if he does arrive. And that means that he will be returning to Everton after the season is done. What will happen after, I simply don't know. But at the moment, we don't even have the player. He's not even official to the team. So I will refrain from making further comments about him joining us at the moment. Trualeb says, Gio, I guess Deulofeu will start as a left winger. I simply don't know if he's going to start as a left winger. That could be a possibility, as he could alternate between wings. But I see him more as a backup to Suso. Also, will he be able to integrate into the team right away and be a starter from the moment that he comes on at Milan? That's another big question mark to me. Personally, I believe that he's going to be used as a backup to Suso. Bonaventura and Niang will continue to be the left wingers for Milan, unless Niang does leave, and as I mentioned yesterday, they might sacrifice him to get some transfer funds for this winter mercato. But everything is still remain to be seen right now. ABC says, would you prefer spending potentially 15 to 25 million euros for Deulofeu plus his big salary if that is possible, or 2 to 3 million for Orsolini? Right now, we cannot buy Deulofeu. That would be something that is potentially that could potentially happen in the summer if we do, as a matter of fact, get him. But right now, we cannot buy Deulofeu. Orsolini is not a player that is preferred by the Chinese. They actually abandoned that route a few days ago now. So if I had to choose between the two, to be honest, I haven't watched much of them in live action. What I've seen from them is highlights. Orsolini, more of an Italian player. Obviously, Deulofeu, still coming from the Barcelona academy, like you heard before, can potentially be an impact player for any team that he joins. But, you know, this is a big question for me. If I would have to choose Deulofeu or Orsolini, I would probably have to go with Deulofeu just because of his potential that he has. Orsolini, he hasn't been playing in any major league just yet. Deulofeu's coming out of Barcelona. He's been playing in the Premier League, so I think he could become a better player. But we'll see what happens with that. There's also a question regarding Gabriel. He says, Gio, if the Gabriel deal goes forward, will Storari come as a permanent transfer or a loan deal? No real mention considering a permanent transfer or a loan deal has been mentioned by the sources, but my guess would be that it would be a loan deal. Honestly, I don't see why Milan will get rid of Gabriel to bring in Storari. The guy's 39, like I said before. He's going to retire any month. He could potentially retire even next year. So why would Milan get rid of Gabriel just like that? I simply don't know. So we'll see what happens there. Kayun says we should sign another 31-year-old trash like Jose Sosa for 7.5 million euros with the money that we don't have. Okay. Rakan says, do you think that Donnarumma will stay? Definitely. Brandon says, a few months ago, there were rumors of us interested in young center back Rodrigo Caio. Is Milan still interested, or any other updates on the situation? I think he'd be a great young center back to pair with Romagnoli. Hi, Brandon. Thank you for your question. First of all, yes, Rodrigo Caio was a player that Milan were interested in last summer. There haven't really been any new reports or updates considering his situation. So in my opinion, he will not arrive this winter, also because the Brazilian club that currently owns him is expecting money, and we simply don't have that money in order to buy him. So I don't think it's a possibility this winter. Also, there are no further updates on the situation, so I really can't say if Milan is still interested in the player or not. However, I do want to recall to you guys that all the decisions will be made, will be mutual decisions between the Chinese and the current Milan management. So we'll have to see if the Chinese are even interested in this defender anymore. Geek 101 says, how likely is it that the takeover delays continue into the summer mercato next year? I seem to remember last summer we were promised funds by the winter, then the takeover to be completed by November. Well, that's a good question you asked me, and personally, I wouldn't be surprised if it does extend once again. How many times so far have we seen it that the Chinese have said, or even Milan in general, Fininvest have said that it will be done, but then, you know, it was always postponed, it was always rescheduled, and we never got to the place of actually closing this deal. So yes, there is obviously a possibility that it could extend once again, but if I recall right, Berlusconi and Milan said this is the final thing If it doesn't close in March, then they will have to move on. But in my opinion, this time will be the right time. Also because the Chinese have just put in another 100 million in the purchase of the club back a few weeks ago. Therefore, chances are that they will be paying off the rest, which is about 320 million. That is what's remaining of what the Chinese still owe to Milan in order to take over the club. Giuliano says if Deulofeu would arrive, Milan would have more strong players on the bench. And this is something that I've said several times, it is important to have depth on the bench. We don't have that depth. The other teams do. We don't. Like Matt Santangelo even mentioned himself there, he says that these players will not be able to continue on a weekly basis until the end of the season. We need proper replacements, and this is why we are going for these loan options, even if they're without the option to buy. It is important to try and find players that are not getting much playing time, still young, still in the dynamics of Milan, in the parameters that Milan is searching for players at the moment. Players that could make a difference, they're not getting much playing time at their respective clubs, and could be used until the end of the season in a positive way, even if they're coming off the bench. These are the type of players that Milan is getting at the moment. The reason as to why the Chinese don't really mind if these players just come in without the option to buy is because chances are that they won't be staying at the team in the summer if we are actually going to buy better players. If we are actually going to be spending big transfer money on players in the summer, these players will not be needed or not being used. So we'll see what happens with that. Clash Royale says Deulofeu is actually the player of AC Milan. No, he is not. Rakan says, when do you think that Milan will win a league title? Definitely not this season. Maybe next year. It's never a it's always a possibility that we might even be able to win it next year. It all depends on the players that we do get and the type of competency we really have at the club. We need better players, especially on the bench right now. Jamie, on the other hand, disagrees with the whole fact regarding Deulofeu. He says, I don't like the deal for Deulofeu as Everton won't be forced to sell if he does well and will keep him. Like I said before, I don't really mind if Everton take him back. What we need at the moment is players that could even arrive without the option to buy, could do well at the club, get us where we need to go, and in the summer we take care and we actually buy proper players that will be remaining at the club for many years to come. Luca says, buying players or getting players on loan to put them on the bench, they ain't getting playing time then once in a while. Well, that is exactly what I said many times, Personally, I think we have a pretty decent starting 11, at least for this season, okay? We are not in any European competitions. We don't need crazy caliber players to win us titles in the Champions League or other European competitions. So at the moment, it's more about getting players to add to the depth of the squad, to be able to have players that could replace current starters at the club in the right times, because there might be times in which our starter players will get injured, will be tired, and we have no absolute substitute that could replace these players, or at least in a good caliber of substitutes. Because we do have substitutes, don't get me wrong, obviously our bench is filled with them, but they don't have that quality that we need. So that is why I'm saying it doesn't really matter if these guys come to sit on the bench and be given the chance when they need to. What we need at this point in the season is players that could come, even if they're not going to stay long term. They arrive, they get the job done for us, and in the summer we get rid of them and we get the players that we actually need, buy them, get them on a permanent transfer, and so forth. Milan Channel says, what price was given for Niang? I really didn't see exactly an offer that was made for Niang. I know there was an offer, but I didn't really see a price tag put on Niang. My guess would be anywhere from 15 to 18. I think that will be a pretty good price tag for Niang. Any news on Poli leaving? No, I haven't heard anything about Poli leaving. Milan Burch says if Ozil doesn't get a new contract and Milan doesn't take advantage of that in the summer with all the money we are getting, it will make me go mental. Well, let's focus on making the Champions League first, because I don't think those types of players will even come to Milan if we are not in the European competitions. Any more news on Borini? No, there are no other updates on Borini. From what I heard last was that his agent mentioned that Borini wanted to return to Italy and Milan or Roma could be a possibility. However, at the time, there are no ongoing negotiations between the clubs and the player. Rakan says, are you Italian or are you living in Canada? Both. Luca says, I think if we sign a top player in the summer, then we shouldn't put them on the bench. Definitely, I'm not speaking about the summer. What I'm speaking about is this specific transfer window. I'm not speaking about the summer. When we do get the top players in the summer, they will definitely have to be starters. What's the point of even getting them? What I'm speaking about is this winter. I don't care who we get, as long as they're good. And they get the job done for us this season. They make us reach the objective of Champions League, and that will be fine for me. Even if they leave, I don't care, because we will be getting the proper players in the summer when the transfer funds come in. Bass says, Gio, can you give me a little summary, please, of what you said? Definitely, I will mention it right now for all the newcomers on the stream. First of all, I spoke about Deulofeu. Many people are thinking that he's a player that Milan have signed already, but what it really is that Milan have they want to start negotiations with Everton to get him on loan, and that is a dry loan. That means loan with no option to buy. Right now, the negotiations haven't started just yet. But like I said, Milan are interested in getting him for the second half of the season. After that, I spoke about Luis Adriano. His contract is signed. What remains now is his medical. So when that is done, the official confirmation regarding the move to Spartak Moscow will be made. And then I spoke about a Gabriel Storari potential swap between Milan and Cagliari. Potentially both goalkeepers going to the opposite clubs on a loan deal, but I simply don't think that will happen. Moving on, Jamie says, I read that if the sale fails in March, Berlusconi will like to back out and invest big himself. He won't invest big himself. I did read about the backing out, but he will not invest big himself. What he said was that he will try to find either some local investors, Italian investors, or he will have to just base it on the youth that Milan could generate from their academies. Rami says, do you think that the sale of the club will be delayed in the summer? And if it does, what are you going to do to Berlusconi? It will not be delayed in the summer, guys. Honestly, I think this time is the right time. I've said this endless times beforehand, but I really think that this time it is the right time. Also because the Chinese have given another 100 million, and to back out at this point and to lose 200 million just like that, I don't think it's something that is very realistic. Finally, just one or two more questions. No, there are no new updates concerning Jesse. He is a pretty good player if he does arrive to Milan, but right now there are no updates considering a potential move to Milan for Jesse. But yes, there were certain rumors going on from various sources, but right now we have nothing going in terms of updates. So if that will be it for the questions, I guess it is time for me to sign off, guys. Thank you so much for all joining me today. As usual, make sure to hit on that subscribe button if you haven't yet. We are pretty close to 11,000 subscribers, like you can see on the right of my screen there, and it would be nice if we could reach it eventually and improve and expand really our Milan community on this channel. Also, if you haven't yet, guys, please click on the like button. Tomorrow will be the last live stream of 2016, guys, and I'm thinking of doing something different for you guys. Maybe you guys could come in like we did on the last watch along. You guys could come on Skype, call in, and give me your highlight of 2016. I think that's something that we will be doing tomorrow. I might also speak about the transfers first, transfer news first, and then give the opportunity for you guys to speak on Skype and be heard on Rossoneri TV. So thank you all, guys. I'll be seeing you tomorrow for the last live stream of 2016. I've been hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, if you liked it, click on that like button. This has been Gio signing off from Rossoneri TV, and as always, Forza Milan.